Thank you for joining me today. A void was created when Nintendo announced its desire to cease the production of the Wii U console. News that, for many of us, is still hard to grasp, as its time here was far too short. I would like to quickly thank everyone at Nintendo who worked ever so hard and lovingly on developing the Wii U console and all of its related software. I would also like to thank all of you who make up the ever-increasing gaming community who has helped keep this console afloat during its short lifetime. While production may cease, I want to ask you, does the gaming console ever truly die? I say nay, for it will live on through its legacy, and as such, I would like, if I may, to take this time to mention some fan favorites. And by fan favorites, I mean my favorites. I would like to start by mentioning quite possibly one of the most charming puzzle games ever to be created, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, a unique game in the Mario franchise due to the fact that it's a rare occasion for a Toad to take on the starring role, something we haven't seen since Wario's Woods back in 1994. In Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, the player must safely navigate Captain Toad and his companion Toadette through various obstacles in order to obtain treasure hidden throughout the course and ultimately obtain the golden star at the end of each level. Attractive visuals, relaxing music, and smooth gameplay make this game an instant classic. Next on my list is a franchise that is not known to hold players' hands, and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze returned the franchise to its roots with some challenging platforming. The game's graphics, level design, and a combination of new and familiar faces made this game worth buying. However, what really makes it stand out is that not only does Dixie Kong return as a playable character, for the first time in history, Cranky Kong, you heard me correctly, the original Donkey Kong from the arcade game that started it all, has finally become a playable character in a main title. Moving right along to one of my favorite games on the console, Super Mario 3D World combines the mechanics of a 2D side-scrolling platformer, like the new Super Mario Bros., with the free-roaming gameplay of a 3D title like Super Mario Sunshine. While many veterans might not find this game to be very challenging at first, later levels can prove to be quite challenging even for those who are self-proclaimed experts. But don't kid yourself, there is only one expert, and I am he. It is also worth noting that the game provides an amazing multiplayer experience, where the new Super Mario Bros. Can be quite frustrating with anything more than 2 players. In Super Mario 3D World, your friends aren't obstacles, but rather competitors vying for first place at the end of each level. Indeed, the game even awards you a crown. A crown that, I might add, looks very nice atop of my head. But let's take a moment to be frank. What really encouraged most of us to purchase this game was the introduction of a surprisingly charming Super Pell power-up, which transformed the character into a cat form. On the flip side, while it's always nice to see new and original titles that take place in the Mario universe, it's equally nice to see Nintendo take a step back in order to revisit and recapture the age of 2D platformers, which is exactly what they did in New Super Mario Bros. U. With the introduction of new enemies and power-ups, New Super Mario Bros. U is much like the Japanese version of the Super Mario Bros. 2 for the NES, in that it ups the difficulty from the original. There's also a change of pace in regards to its storyline. Instead of Lord Bowser kidnapping the princess, forcing Mario and his friends to go on a long quest in order to find her in whatever castle Bowser decided to deposit her in this time, he instead directly invades and takes over Princess Peach's castle, forcing Mario and company to infiltrate it instead. Since first being introduced to the Super Mario Bros. Back in the 1980s, fans have been dying for the opportunity to make their own levels in the Mario universe. Some of the more ambitious have purchased expensive software and spent considerable time learning game scripting in order to achieve this. But after 30 years, Nintendo has given us Mario Maker. Without needing anything more than an imagination, one can easily spend hours creating their own stages and then share them online for others to play. Indeed, I cannot think of a better way to celebrate 30 years of Mario than with this game. And finally, with its skillful track design, gorgeous graphics, and remarkable soundtrack, Nintendo delivered a nearly perfect racing game with Mario Kart 8. Like other games in the series, players control characters from the Mario franchise and use items to try and hinder opponents and gain the advantage. What makes Mario Kart 8 stand out amongst previous incarnations is the introduction of anti-gravity sections, which allows players to drive along walls and even on the ceiling. The multiplayer aspects are perfect in that you can play with others on the same console and or play online versus others via the Nintendo network. And if you're lucky enough, you might even find me on the racetrack. But expect to spend that time eating dust because I am number one. I would now like to take this time to thank you once again for joining me today. If you are so inclined, please click the like button and make sure to show your support to King Bowser and the Koopa Troop today by subscribing to my channel.